Hi, everyone. So, today I wanted to talk about grace on the spiritual pathway and how grace and loving kindness help brings us mental strength. We need mental strength on this spiritual pathway. And once you've awoken to the potential that you are divine too, that we need a strong mind because everything in your world will come against that truth and try to tell you and show you that you are not. And so if you don't have a strong mind, then it's easy to stay in suffering. When our own personal pathway leads to a dark night of the soul, or we have to recognize perhaps where in the past, when we were less spiritually mature and less emotionally mature, that we made decisions that perhaps perpetuated suffering for ourselves and others. If you don't have a strong mind, then that could easily take you into a state of depression for a long time. So building mental strength on the pathway is really important. And loving kindness and grace help us develop that strong mind. So let's get into it. As I was examining grace, the grace that I was taught is that God gave to us because we were undeserving, that we had no merit in God's eyes, basically. And even though we had no merit, He would give us what we needed. But after you've had a light filled experience, or even a hell experience where maybe you had a nonlinear, non ordinary state of experience of hell and you were taken out of that realm, you can no longer hide behind unworthiness. You know you're worthy. You know that you are loved beyond human comprehension. You know that whatever dark place you might find yourself in, God is going to come find you, and He's going to send somebody to help you in body or out of body. And so the old expression of grace from that old term just doesn't work for us anymore. And so a lot of times then I've talked to people, and I know even in myself, dismissed the term grace as not really having any meaning for me anymore under that old expression. And that's what happens to us, right? As we begin our awakening process, as we begin to spiritually and emotionally mature, we start reevaluating the meaning of everything that we were taught before. We start feeling and tuning into what is authentically us and what works and what doesn't work. It's just the nature of the way. And so um, when I realized that what grace was for me and what I believe Spirit showed me grace was, is that it's about abundance and surrender. And that in order to have abundance, you have to surrender, which is kind of weird and sometimes really challenging. So I'll share with you a spiritual experience that I had involving grace. So this was many years ago. I became very, very worried about my financial condition and my relationship with my children. And I was taking a walk one day in the park, and Spirit had been telling me for 2 weeks that I needed to learn how to live a different way, that I needed to learn to live by grace. And I couldn't understand what Spirit was talking about because that old perception of grace just didn't fit for me anymore, because I knew God loved me, and yet I couldn't understand. And I knew I was worthy of God's love no matter what I had done, that could not ever be taken away from me. And so I was really struggling with, why am I going through what I'm going through? And what is this whole grace thing? So I finally said to Spirit, you're going to have to show me what you mean, because I don't know what you're talking about. And for 2 weeks, I sought the answer and sought the answer. And sometimes I think maybe mystics are just a little stubborn or dense sometimes, and God has to use these really crazy nonlinear experiences sorry, I shouldn't have used that word, these very interesting nonlinear experiences to get our attention. So as I was walking in the park that day, um, I noticed, or experienced this, like, glass, not glass, but like invisible tube, like a tube of glass or see-through crystal or something, dropped straight down from the heaven and surrounded me about arm's length, 360 degrees around me. And it went down underneath my feet, under the ground about 2 feet, and closed up. And when I looked up, there was no, it went like to infinity, and there was, could intuit that there was no lid on it and no ceiling to it. And I heard the voice say to me, "This is grace. Bring your house, bring your checkbook, your account, your bank account, and bring your children inside." And it directed me inside, not just in the air around the tube, but inside, deep inside of me. Bring it all in here to God within, and let me have it. And so these visuals, of my house and my checkbook and my children, came to me and came deeply internally into me, inside of my chest, and were released and surrendered. And within, a matter of days, the situation eased, and there was order um, and harmony brought to that chaotic situation. And so, ever since that experience, that mystical experience of grace, recognizing that it's a surrender and a trust, that that's what grace is that there is this symbiotic relationship between my trust and my surrender, of my needing to know how to, the details of how it's all going to work out will be just fine when I bring them to the presence within and surrender the outcome. You know, I mean, how many teachers have I listened to about this? And is this true for you? Like, you can hear it and you can hear it and you can hear it. But when it's deeply personal and you haven't fully surrendered your ego, and you've been working on it, in stages, of course, then we get hit with these points of concern and worry and fear. And again, it comes down to what's important to us. These things are important. That's why they're a matter of concern. And so as we begin to surrender the outcome and we do what is right within our own heart, things eventually work out. And then sometimes grace means, the question is, why is this happening to me? Question. I mean, sometimes it's happening to help you build that strength, that mental strength. Um, Sometimes it's just a situation and it's not meant for anything. And no, God is, creating this chaos in your life so that you'll have a stronger mind. But you can use that as a way. If it's there, then you can use it as a way to strengthen your mind, to be focused on grace and gratitude and surrender, bringing it all into that power within you that is right there waiting for you to experience its presence. And so these all go hand in hand. They, like I said, there's this symbiotic relationship between surrender and grace and abundance and loving kindness to mental strength. So the more that you practice the loving kindness, your mind stays more focused. That's the mental strength. I'm not talking about experiencing an emergency emotion and then through willpower try to make it go away, because it's low vibrational. That's spiritual bypassing. What I'm talking about is the mental strength to notice the emergency experience, the emergency emotion, to notice the unrest, and then to bring that within you and surrender it to the light and the God within you, and allow that to do its work of harmonizing and creating peaceful outcomes, and trusting that it may take a moment, and it may take a year, it might take longer. But the real truth is that the nature of life, like the moment you burn your finger, the moment you cut your body or hurt your body, everything in your body starts attempting to heal that. That is the nature of life. The nature of life is always there to restore balance. And so if you can trust that that nature lives within you, that that balance lives within your mind, and um, the only way to know it is to sometimes experience it. You know, there are some people that are fortunate out there that they can hear it and boom, they've got it. But for some of us, it takes a little longer, especially if you've had trauma or you have PTSD or CPTSD. It becomes even more challenging. And so the practice of loving kindness to yourself and bringing and seeking grace within becomes even more important. So, with each time that we get triggered into a state of fear or grief or loss, if we can begin to practice that, our minds do get stronger. The other important component here is that of uh, spiritually minded and mature friends and community, so that if we really hit a hard spot, that we've got somebody that we can talk to that really loves us unconditionally and can see us and can know perhaps some of the obstacles that we faced. They can buoy us up, they can be our wings when we can't fly. And so, again, building mental strength on the pathway is so important, but you don't have to do it alone. Nothing ever has to be done alone. So, again, if this is the first video that you're watching from my channel, Love's Answer, please go to the About section and take a look at all of those resources that I have listed, so that if you are struggling and you are looking for a community of people that can help you where you're at on the path, there's several resources there. And I hope that you take a look at them and contact them as you need. All right, beautiful people, thank you so much for coming to my broadcast today. And if you ever have any questions, you know you can get a hold of me at elizabethj.sabet@gmail.com. Bye. Have a great week.